Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Room of Acquirement. As always, I'm Curtis, your curator to this magical collection that you see here behind me, and today we are going to be talking about some of the darkest magical items in the wizarding world. But before we can get to that, or in the common tongue, spoiler alert. If you have not read all of the Harry Potter books, you might want to skip over all of the Horcrux videos as they contain a lot of spoilers in future books. I highly suggest that you finish reading before watching any further. But now, on to the material. So what exactly is a Horcrux? Well, a Horcrux is an object in which someone has placed a piece of their soul in an attempt to cheat death. Should that person be attacked and their body destroyed, the piece of their soul that is hidden stays alive, and thus they can be resurrected. As for the method to creating a Horcrux, we know that murder is one integral part of creating a Horcrux, as it's a crime against nature and can split the soul. We also know that dark magic is required to extract a piece of the soul and place it within an item. Beyond this, however, the actual steps to creating a Horcrux have eluded everyone. There are plenty of fan theories out there, but none of them really seem to stack up against a lot of the evidence that we're presented with in Tom Riddle's timeline. We're going to take a close look at Tom Riddle's timeline and the Horcruxes that he created. Well, we know that Tom was born on the night of December 31st, 1926. His mother, Ring of Gaunt, made her way to a Muggle orphanage where she gave birth to a boy that she named Tom after his father. She then gave him the middle name of Marvolo after her father, hence the name Tom Marvolo Riddle. Tom was then raised in the Muggle orphanage until he came of age and started to manifest magical abilities. That is when Albus Dumbledore invited him to start attending Hogwarts. By 1942, Tom had grown into a talented young wizard, and at the age of 16, he visited his uncle Morphin, and using magic, stole a family heirloom, the Ring of Gaunt. Look familiar? It should. It was on my channel a while back. Back then, I was talking about the stone that's on the ring, not the ring itself. The ring used to belong to the Peveril family, but had been handed down so many times that it eventually passed into the Gaunt family. The Gaunt family are direct descendants of Salazar Slytherin. With the ring in hand, he killed his father and his grandparents that were in the house. Tom then framed his uncle, Morphin, for the deaths of those muggles. Shortly after that, Morphin was taken to Azkaban to live out the remainder of his days, and Tom created his very first Horcrux in the month of August, 1942. Later on in 1942, Tom meets up with a close friend and mentor, Horace Slughorn. Using his charm and charisma, he gets into a conversation about Horcruxes with Slughorn, and very carefully feigns ignorance as to what Horcruxes actually are, in an attempt to get Horace talking about the subject. And although Horace admits that this is a dark topic, he is still inclined to tell Riddle what he wants to know. Riddle then makes it seem like this is all academic purposes, which allow him to move the conversation into the area that he's more interested in learning about, such as how many Horcruxes can a person make safely. He then learns that up to 7 Horcruxes can be created, yet Slughorn reminds him that it's bad enough to kill one person, but to consider killing 7 people? At which point, looks for reassurance that this is all for academic purposes and that it's all hypothetical. Tom, of course, plays the innocence card and says, of course. At the end of that school year, in June of 1943, Tom opens the Chamber of Secrets for the first time. When he does, the one that we know as Moaning Myrtle was in the bathroom at that time, and as such, she met a very unfortunate end the instant she opened her bathroom door. Her eyes met the eyes of the basilisk, and just like that, she died. Later on, in 1943, during the month of September, Tom will make yet another Horcrux. This time, instead of an old ring, he put a piece of his soul into this, his diary. At first glance, it's just a blank old book. But to the person who writes in it, it's much more. It is a way to communicate with the soul of Tom Riddle. The danger in doing so is Tom Riddle is capable of possessing the person that writes in the book. Ginny became the unknowing wielder of this book when Lucius Malfoy slipped it into her cauldron the day that she had stopped in Diagon Alley. As a result, Ginny started to write into the diary and read what Tom had to say. He started to use magic to persuade her to write threatening messages as well as open the Chamber of Secrets and unleash the basilisk on all the Muggle-born students that were attending Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry that year. During this time, Riddle learned of Harry Potter and how he was able to thwart Voldemort's plans and survive the killing curse. As a result, the memory of Tom Riddle shifted his focus away from killing Muggleborns to killing Harry Potter himself. Tom then realized that the best way to do that would be to take Ginny into the Chamber of Secrets. Soon after, we see Harry enter into the Chamber of Secrets, where the true nature of the Horcrux can be observed. In the chamber, he sees Ginny lying on the floor, unconscious, and cannot be woken up by any conventional means. He also meets Tom, who is standing in the chamber and able to pick up Harry's wand and interact with him on a corporeal level. Harry soon realizes that this is not some magical projection. It is, in fact, the Horcrux draining Ginny Weasley's life energy and pouring it into the memory of Tom Morvolo Riddle, which was stored in the diary. Tom, being Lord Voldemort, is of course furious to find out that everything he had done was undone by an infant. He awakens the basilisk to take on Harry. Very few things can destroy a Horcrux, and after Harry defeated the basilisk in the Chamber of Secrets, he took one of its fangs, which had stuck in the arm previously, and he decided to take that fang and plunge it into Tom's diary. By doing so, he had destroyed several pages and eventually even the cover of the book. By doing so, the memory of Tom Riddle was shredded. And after he had burst into the nothingness from whence he came, all the life energy that had been drained from Ginny returned to her, and she lived. This suggests that a Horcrux will drain the life energy of those who possess it in order to give that life energy to the soul that lies within it. So you now know that the ring was created first as a Horcrux. But Harry encountered the book before he encountered the ring. And although Harry destroyed the book with a basilisk fang, Years later, Dumbledore destroyed the Ring of Gaunt with the Sword of Gryffindor, which had become impregnated with basilisk venom when Harry stabbed it. Well, everyone, that's all for today on the Room of Acquirement. But don't forget to spell that like button and charm that bell. And stay tuned, because it won't be long before I bring out the next of Voldemort's Horcruxes to show to you and enlighten you on their histories. Until next time, however, Avada Kedavra!